Hello, and welcome to Dance Visions USA. My name is Chris Morris, and this is Denise, and today we're going to be doing a technique tape for you on arm styling and turns. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the technique of arm styling and turns. So many people ask me, where do I get my use of arms? Where does it come from? How long does it take to develop a good arm style? Well, it just depends on where you have learned your dancing, how far back your dancing has gone. If you've been a child and were a ballet dancer, you've probably learned them at a very young age what to do with your arms and remembered it and kept it underneath your hat for a long time and then pulled it out when you began to ballroom dance. Well, today, first of all, we're going to start with the origin and the arm positions and how to use your arms in relation to the rest of your body. And to do this, I would like to invite Denise up to help me out. There are three specific arm positions that we use almost all the time in ballroom or Latin dancing. The first one is, of course, first position, which the arms are carried forward and down toward the pelvic area. The elbows are rounded out, and there is tone throughout the whole arm. This is your first position. In second position, the arms come up and extend out so that they're side by side, extended no further than the wrists, where you can see your wrists from your peripheral view. For example, if Denise was looking straight ahead and she cannot, if she moves her arms back so that she cannot see her hands anymore, she's gone too far with her arms. You always want to try to keep your arms forward of your shoulders so you have a natural curve from shoulder to fingers. A good test for this, of course, is to hold your arms in front of you, extend them out to the side, looking straight ahead. Once you've extended them, if you can no longer see them out of the sides of your eyes, you've gone too far. Then, of course, there is fifth position, where the arms come straight up and over the head in a rounded fashion, with the arms still forward and the elbows still flexed. So again, we'll review those positions. We have first, second, and fifth. Now this is the raw, basic position for the arms. We develop them and use them in a lot of different areas in a lot of different ways when we're dancing through our routines. I think arm styling is probably one of the most beautiful parts of dancing, and without arm styling, you're only dancing half of your body. So it's very important that you learn to use them and you learn to develop them so that you're comfortable with what you're doing with your arms. I'm going to talk a little bit about where your arm movement comes from. If Denise will turn for me. Most people wonder, where do my arms come from? How do I use them? What do I do to make them soft and beautiful? Well, first of all, your arm styling does not come from just your hands and your elbows. It originates and starts from your back. You're going to feel that you're using the muscles in both your right and left side of your back. And as you're dancing, you're going to start your movement from here. It moves through the muscles in the back, comes across the shoulder, and extends all the way down the arm, all the way through the fingertips. Like Denise says, dance through your fingernails. The energy comes through the arm and extends out. It doesn't just dance part of the arm or the shoulder or the wrist. It comes all the way through the hand. So if she'll demonstrate for me, when she extends her arms, she's going to bring them down, up and out. She is taking the arms from the back. So again, will you repeat that for me, Denise? When I put my hand on her back, I feel that she's really toned and tightened the muscles through her back to help support the weight of her arms. This is where the fluidity comes from and where she gets a nice soft movement from her arms and her hands. Again, lowering the hands. She tones the back, lifts up through the rib cage and the sternum, and then extends her arms forward. Then she'll bring them out and she expands the back as she does to get a nice full movement. When she brings them over her head, she does the same thing, stretching up through the back and the sternum to keep the body toned and pulled up. Thank you. It's very important to realize that anytime you do your arms, when you're developing them out into a movement, whether it's over the head, in front of you, or down, you're always pulling up through the body, so there's a feeling of stretching constantly. And that stretching feeling through your body is extended through the hands and the arms to give a continuity of movement and a fluidity that you look for when you're watching people dance. Now, when the lady or the man, this applies to both man and lady, when you go to do your arms, you always want to make sure that your pelvis is also tucked and pulled up so that you have no part of your body that feels dropped or sags. So when she pulls her pelvic area and her hips up and pulls up through her sternum, what she's already doing naturally is lifting her arms and extending them forward, or extending them out, whichever the case may be. All this area here is lifted up and toned. If she brings them up over her head, the same thing. You never see any part of her body drop or move or lose its tone. Now, another reason that we use our arms, of course, so much is because when you're dancing to music, our feet and our legs give the rhythm or dance to the rhythm of the music, but our arms and our head and our upper body dance to the melody. I'm sure many of you at times listen to a piece of music, and as you listen to it, all you hear is the words, or you hear the pretty music that's playing. That's the part that you dance your arms to. If you have a beautiful song that you're listening to, and you want to just get the feeling of it, you close your eyes and you kind of move your arms around and get the feeling of the music through your arms. Our feet usually dance the rhythm part, our arms dance the melody. So your arms are the melodic part of your dancing. Now, in order to create this, the lady or man must keep a lot of tone and resistance to their arms. When Denise extends her arms forward, she's going to imagine that I'm pressing down against her hands and her arms to give a little bit of resistance as she lifts them. You never want to just lift your arms quickly without any tone. Always imagine that you're in water or that someone's pressing down against them and you're lifting them slowly with resistance to the opposition of the movement. And then as she extends sideways, she imagines that I'm pressing against her arms and using tone and resistance. So there's always an even flow of movement. She comes in, she'll do the same thing. I'm pressing against the inside edges of her arms to create that resistance. I press out and she pushes out against my hands. And you have to imagine this. Another good way to try to get the feeling of this is to, if you have a pool or if you have a deep bathtub, you can put your arms in the water and feel the resistance that the arms have against the water. It's the same feeling. But get that feeling of having resistance. The arms just don't flail haphazardly in the air. We always use a certain amount of tone and resistance when dancing our arms. Now, one of the things that I find people don't do enough of is they don't dance their full arms. You must realize that when you dance an arm movement, I don't care how simple, how small, how short, how long, the arm movement must originate, like I said earlier, from the back, but you must dance the shoulder, the elbow, and then the wrist. So Denise is going to do this arm movement for me. She's going to bring the hand down. She's going to circle it up, turn it at the top, and bring it back down. Now, I'm using this arm styling because this is a very common arm styling we use in dancing, and this is the one that usually gives people the most problem. You want to make sure that you dance the arm first from the shoulder. So she's going to extend her arm side, and she's going to press down on her shoulder. At the same time, she's lifting her arm up with resistance. She stretches the arm completely up, and she's dancing the whole arm all the way through the wrist. She'll turn her wrist at the top, and then bring it down in front of her face, again dancing the whole arm completely. You never want to dance just your elbow or just your wrist. You want to dance from the shoulder, the elbow, and then the wrist. Try it one more time. She's going to take her arm out to the side, up, turn it at the top, bring it down in front of her face, and extend it all the way down. So you want to really make sure you use the whole complete movement of the arm. So we want to make sure that, number one, we keep tone and resistance in our arms. Number two, that we dance the arms from the back using the complete complete arm, shoulder, elbow, and wrist, and you want to dance your arms through your fingertips. Imagine, if you're a woman, that you had long, gorgeous nails that you wanted to show off, and you're going to show them to everybody in the room by dancing the arm completely out and extending the wrists and fingers so that you can see your fingernails. Now, gentlemen, you use the same basic principles. However, because you don't have long nails, you're going to extend the arms and imagine that your fingers have extended 3 inches farther than they should, and you really extend and expand on the arm movement. So never feel like you want to bring your arms into you and keep them against your body. They always want to dance open and free. So we've covered those couple of points. We want to make sure that we keep our tone in our arms, dance from the elbow and the shoulder, and that you give your movement all the way through the wrists and the fingers. The next section of this tape is devoted to exercises for improved arm styling. First of all, we're going to show you a few exercises you can do to just develop your arms and get used to using them in the proper way. Then we're going to elaborate on the exercises to use them to be applied to all the specific dances that you'll be doing. So first of all, we're going to take what we call a port de bras exercise. All your arm movements are based and have a fundamental foundation from ballet. So the first port de bras you're going to do, you're going to bring the arms straight up in front of you, again keeping the resistance and tone to the arms, extend them out to second, and bring them back down to first. Again, she comes up, extends them out to second, turns the wrists, brings them down, and back to first. Now, it's very important that you remember that you always have to go through, from your first position to your second position, you have to go through this movement, taking them forward, outside, and in front of your body, and then extending them out. One of the don'ts, of course, that you would do would be to take it straight out away from your body. You always want to make sure that your arm movements are complete, full, and smooth. So again, you take your arms forward, straight up, extend them out to the side, turn the wrists, and bring them down in front of you. Now, your arm angle is also very important. You never want to have your hands or your elbows above your shoulder. When Denise brings her arms up for the first part of her port de bras, you'll notice that there's still an angle downward of her arms, so you can see her shoulders, her elbows, and her wrists. Then she'll extend her arms out, keeping that same angle. She will then drop her wrists and bring her arms in front of her. So you always want to have a downward angle to your arms, whether they're in front of you or out to the side. There's always an angle slanting down. Again, she comes forward, extends out with tone and resistance, turns the wrists, and brings them down. Now we're going to go straight up, all the way up over the head, open the arms equally from side to side, turn the wrists when they get to second, and bring them down to first. Again, she comes straight up, stop. You'll notice that when she is sideways, her arms are never straight above her head. She always keeps them angled slightly in front of her so that her back is flat and she doesn't raise her shoulders. Now she'll bring them out, turn the wrists at second position, continue the arms down into first. One more time, turning to face the camera, you have up with tone and resistance, extend them out, keeping them full and extended. She's dancing right from the middle of her back. She turns her wrists and finishes in first position. One more time, if you would, I'd like you to turn so your back is to the camera so they can see this from the back. She goes straight up. Again, you'll notice her shoulders do not come up. She tries to pull everything down. She then pulls her arms down to second, keeping tone in her sternum and her back, and then brings the arms in front of her. Now, we're going to combine this exercise together, and you're going to come forward, extend out to the side, turn the wrists, and drop the arms. Then you're going to come all the way up, bring the arms out to the side, turn them at second position, and bring the arms in front of you. I want you to repeat this exercise 3 times, and preferably, if you can, to music. It doesn't have to be to any specific beat, but just something that has a melody that you can dance your arms fluidly through. One more time, we will go up, extend them out, turn the wrists and bring them down. Straight up, softly, and extend them out, turn the wrists and bring them down. And you want to try to keep a constant fluid movement to your arms. It's even and it never changes. You don't speed up the arms in any particular area. The movement is always constant, even, and smooth. Now, the next exercise we're going to do, Denise is going to extend her right hand forward. She's going to extend it out to the side. And if you'll notice, she's going to start to expound on a little bit of shape. As she takes her arm forward, she's going to stretch the shoulder forward as well. Keeping this pulled up, she extends her neck to the right and stretches her body slightly to the right. She then extends the body outward as she extends her arm to the side. Then she turns the wrist, and at this point she straightens up to normal position. She does the same thing with the left arm. She extends it out to the side, keeping the stretch as she goes sideways to second position, and then drops the hand and straightens up to neutral position. Now, we're going to have you look at this from this angle, and I want you to see exactly what her shoulder does. She extends the arm forward, extends the arm to the side, turns the wrist, and then comes to neutral position. The same thing with the left arm. If you'll notice, the angle of the back changes slightly, but she still keeps her hips forward, and she does not rotate or drop her sides. Then she extends the arm side, still keeping the stretch, and then once she turns her wrist, that's her cue to become neutral or parallel. And you always want to make sure that your shoulders are parallel to the floor and even. Imagine you had a glass of water on each shoulder and it was full to the brim. You would want to make sure that you didn't spill any on you, so you want to keep your shoulders as still as possible. One more time, we're going to go out, stretching the arm and the side forward, extend the wrist out to the side, turn and come down. Left arm is forward, extend it out to the side, turn the wrist, and bring it under. Now, the next exercise we're going to do involves the use of wrists and getting used to bringing your arms up over your head. Denise is going to extend her arm, left arm down, bring it straight up. At the peak of her rise, she's going to turn her wrist in, bring the elbow across her body and down in front of her face. So she extends out to the side, all the way up, turns her wrists, the top, turns her body slightly as she lets her elbow come forward, brings it in front of her, and then extends it back to first position. So she goes down, turn it at the top, bring it across, and finish. She does the same thing with the right arm. Up, turn it at the top, and you'll notice she takes her right side forward slightly to allow her arm to come across her face and body. She keeps that shape until she brings it all the way to second, and then she straightens out. Again, we have straight up, turn it at the top, bring it in front to first position. Now we'll try this from the back side, and watch what her shoulder shape does as she does her left arm first. She brings it out. Watch her left shoulder comes forward as she brings the arm across and back to first. Right arm, the same thing, up, turn at the top, bring the right shoulder slightly forward, and then dance to first position. Now, if you'll notice, when Denise is dancing her arms, she looks in the direction of her arm movement almost all the time. Do this one more time for me, Denise, and watch her head. She's looking out toward her hand, even up as the wrist turns, and then she extends out. She won't follow the head at this particular point, but she does follow it at this angle. She follows her hand all the way up, turns it at the top, and then brings it down. Okay? These are just a few of the exercises that you can use when you're getting to develop and practice your arms. Another one that we like you to use is, imagine that you were in a pool of water, or you were, like I said earlier, using resistance against your arms, and I call it a wing motion, sort of like that of a bird as it flies, where the wrists become fluid, and you use the wrists to add softness and fluidity to your arms. So what's going to happen is Denise is going to take her arms to second position, straight up. Her palms are in. She's going to bring her arms in as if someone said,